The Astro van. Yeah. So, is the Astro van a minivan? Not really. Not really. It's a mid-size van. I think that GM actually called it a mid-size van. I don't know. I don't know everything. Unlike some politicians and maybe like the guy that owns Facebook, I'm actually human, so I make mistakes. And I got into it with a guy yesterday on one of the Facebook groups, and I like this guy. I respect him. He's built a ton of these Astro vans, and he especially the all-wheel drives, and he likes to keep the four-wheel drive thing. He has very strong beliefs about these things, and he knows what he's talking about. And he sold these vans in the past for pretty high dollar, and I get where he's coming from. He's a little nervous about the way we talk about them sometimes, some of the terminology used that just isn't correct, and he's right about that. And I'm going to get into this. We're going to go underneath the van and talk about it. But, recently or not long ago, he sold a van for top dollar. I think he got like 18 grand for the thing or something. It was well done. And then that person rolled it, going off-road with it. So we're going to talk about that too towards the end of the video here. But for now, let's just talk about why people will say things like I've said, and we are misspeaking when we say it, that it has a truck chassis, because it clearly doesn't have a truck chassis. It's got a front clip. It's like a subframe. It's half of a frame, but it's basically a unibody construction with a front clip as far as the all-wheel drives are concerned. The reason I've said in the past that it has a truck chassis is because I've had this van on a lift, well, like when I had the transmission replaced, or when I first got it and I brought it to a place and I had to have some work done, and when I'm back home in Jersey, and other different mechanics along the way where I've had to have things done I didn't want to do or whatever. When they get underneath it, that's what they say. Now, they know it doesn't have a truck chassis, right? But they get underneath this Astro van, all-wheel drive, 2004, now 4x4. They get underneath it and they go, wow, that's got a truck chassis. What they mean to say, they're misspeaking, is that they're seeing truck parts underneath this minivan. Because it's not a minivan, it's a mid-size van. Like, I challenge you, all right? Show me another van. Yeah, show me a minivan that has truck parts under it, that's made as heavy duty as the Astro van, that can tow as much from the factory, that has the same interior cargo area space. It doesn't exist. When Chevy made this, they overbuilt it. They overdesigned it. They designed and built it. It actually was designed to fit a V8, and then they made the decision to go with the V6. Which is still a pretty good motor. But those are the facts. Now, when you get underneath this thing, it's pretty clear that you're looking at truck parts, all right? The front end, GM built this from parts that they had for other vehicles. These control arms come off of a 1500, right? It's like a half-ton truck. That's why. The later model, like I have, this is 2004. Comes with 16-inch wheels with larger four-wheel disc brakes. Again, that's more of a truck kind of thing. One of the things you're going to notice there too is you'll see that lower ball joint. You're going to see bolts there, and that's because we drilled that out and put a heavy-duty ball joint in there, AC Delco ball joint. And you'll also see up here the ball joint flip, which is just repositioned there. Now, let's get to the side here and explain something easier to see here from the side. Got my high-tech cardboard here for comfort, my comfort cardboard. Here is the end of your front clip here. If that was to extend all the way through, that would be a full truck chassis. But these don't have that. What they have is unibody construction, right? So they've got this frame rail here that's part of the whole cab up top, the whole box up there. Now, if you are going to take these things off-road and like try to do crazy stuff, it would not be that difficult to weld some steel to this thing. You can really beef these things up. But the Astro van is a full cage, and when you're looking at Here's the S10 springs. All right, so I've already got this thing beefier than standard anyhow. That tube steel up there coming down from that frame that's part of the unibody construction is just a spacer for my airbag. Got the Rancho shocks there. As I was saying, you can beef these things up and you can make them very capable. And that's what people are doing. So, I'm just saying, yeah, it doesn't have a truck chassis, but it's way more capable than any other minivan out there that I'm aware of. You don't see people four-wheeling Dodge Caravans. You see some Toyota Siennas out there, I can't think of anything else right now off the top of my head. But when this thing was built, it was way tougher than any other mid-size van or minivan on the market. Your rear end. And I think I've mentioned it before. I was about to mention it a second ago, but these passenger versions of these vans are, sorry about the hand, double walled inside there, more so than the cargo vans. It makes it even more rigid and tougher. So that's the thing. It was funny in the discussion because, look, we're all human. We come with our own little personality traits and idiosyncratic things, and some of us can be more annoying than others. I don't spend as much time in those groups because of it. Some people can't admit that they're wrong, or they always want to have the last word, that sort of thing, and that's slightly annoying to me. Excuse me, but I understand it. He was real funny because initially I was just goofing on him about using the term minivan. I didn't mean it to get into a crazy discussion where then it was like, oh, here's a picture of a real chassis, full-size chassis. This is the Astro van all-wheel drive chassis. Like, I knew all that already. I realized I was kind of misspeaking. I didn't expect it to go there. But he still couldn't admit that it's not a minivan. Now, here's the thing, okay? My arm's getting tired. Let's put you down. I didn't have a tripod set up today for this. Find a better spot for this. But here's the deal, all right? Overlanding is very popular right now. Overlanding, taking these things off-road, doing things with them that they were never designed to do. It's my wiring in here hanging out. It's for the iPod and the phone charger here. So, all right, look. Overlanding, van life has become a popular thing, okay? And it's cool. It's a lot of fun. And this van is very, very capable. It's capable with just the all-wheel drive system that works in it already. You don't need to do the 4x4 conversion. The older vans, I just looked at a 95 camper van. You might have seen on some of my social media, that blue one with the white stripes. That's a 95. That's an all-wheel drive all the time. This van is the last generation. And so it had a system with the all-wheel drive where it would feel slipping and then it engages. But mine was on all the time. And that was killing me for gas mileage and all that. So when I did the 4x4 transfer case swap, I saw a major difference automatically in my power band, fuel economy, the way the transmission was shifting better and all that. So, and I've said it in some of my other videos, the way I feel about it is if you have an all-wheel drive and you want to do a lot of dirt roads and off-roads, getting off-road, I think that the 4x4 transfer case swap is a smart way to go. And that Journeys company, they got it. They got it nailed. They got the kit for it. Get the kit, have somebody reputable install it yourself. But, there's a guy on YouTube, and I should have wrote this down. I can't remember who he is, what his name is. But he's got a channel on YouTube, and he's out here in Southern California, and he's driving an all-wheel drive Honda. I mean, it's like a SUV, but it's more like a wagon style thing. I don't know. But this guy's got experience off-road. And that's what he does. And he goes off-roading with Jeeps, all of it. Does some rock crawling with it. I mean, he takes that thing in places you're like, wow. And he's proven it can be done. but he's got the experience driving. And this is what it boils down to. You can do a lot of things. You can get out in most places with a two-wheel drive vehicle. If you've got the clearance, you got good tires, if you got a rear locker on it, you can get to most places. If you've got almost any all-wheel drive vehicle and you put the money into it and put a lift on it, you get the body lift so you can fit taller tires, and then the taller tires is what really gives you the clearance underneath the vehicle. Some vehicles you can do suspension lifts, but I think you pretty much have to have like leaf springs in the front for that. I could be wrong about that. Which brings me to another point. If you've got the money and the skill, or the money to pay somebody with the skill, the things you can do to this are pretty much endless. All right, it's becoming more and more popular now to put a front, straight axle Dana front end on this thing. So a lot of people are doing it from Jeeps. And then this thing becomes way more capable. Is it ever going to be a rock crawling capable Jeep Gladiator style thing? I don't think so, but you probably don't need that anyhow. And then again, somebody out there is going to prove me wrong because you can figure it out. The best way to go, the most cost-effective way to do this is you do some lift. There's other companies that make lift kits. Journeys makes one that's pretty easily accessible. And there's common sense stuff. You do the rear springs on it and whatnot. You get the body high enough to where you could put a bigger tire on it. The issue then becomes your gearing. And you have to have your front diff and your rear diff match with the gearing. And it could be costly to do that. You might get lucky. You might find an Astro van 410 gears where you can run a taller tire. It doesn't really hurt your transmission all that much. But the point is you can build these things with the transfer case swap and a decent lift and a tall enough tire, big enough tire with a good, knobbies on it or whatever, tire profile, whatever you want to call it. And you could do quite a bit with this thing. What it really boils down to is you can't be stupid. You just can't be stupid. And there's a lot of young people getting into this and they don't have the experience. They might not have been off-road much in their lives. They're watching these YouTube videos. They're buying into this whole trendy thing. And they're just like, okay, man, I'm going to take my money and buy this thing and just start doing what everybody else is doing, but they don't know. And they're not putting the money into the van first. If you get one of these vans, you want to look at my older videos where I'm giving advice on this. If you haven't rebuilt your whole front end, all of it, ball joints, your idler arms, you check your wheel hub assemblies, your CV axles, all that stuff. If that is not dialed in, if you don't have a better rear end on this thing with the leaf springs, if you don't have better shocks on it, if you don't have the lift kit, all these things first, you got no business doing it. Can you do it? Sure, you could do it. You can get lucky. There's a lot of you who are lucky. You're going to say, I'm doing this all the time. I haven't done all that. I haven't any problems. Okay. You probably haven't pushed it that hard. I'm just saying, be smart. Have recovery gear with you. I'm trying to do this on the cheap. I don't make a whole bunch of money. I do this, I do that. Something breaks, I got to fix that. And when I do, I try to put the heavy-duty parts in. I do as much of my own work as I can. I understand what my time is worth. So there's some things when I look under and I figure out, I think about what it's going to take me to do it. I realize, I'd rather pay to have somebody else do that. Like when it came to doing the lower ball joints. On this thing, you can buy a whole control arm that's got the bushings in it and the ball joint on it, but that's not high-end stuff. I also don't trust the later model replacement parts. It's also harder to get the AC Delco in that, I think. But if you drill out the rivets on that, you can put a higher quality ball joint in it. You could put better quality bushings in it, and you're better off doing it that way. It costs more money, it's more aggravation. If you do it yourself, it's a real pain in the butt. But the point is, all these things can be done. The Astro van, it's not your mother's minivan. It's the van that can. That's what it boils down to. It's a mid-size van. Way more heavy-duty than anything else out there as far as the minivan, especially when the thing was made. I don't know what's going on today with minivans. I don't know if they're making them tougher. Maybe there's things that are more standard now that are more truck-type part-oriented. I don't know. All I know is that guys that know way more than me, when they get underneath this thing, they look at it and they're flabbergasted. And I'm talking about guys obviously haven't been underneath a lot of Astro vans. there is a difference between the two-wheel drive and the all-wheel drive Astro vans. Two-wheel drive doesn't have the front clip on. It's got coil springs. It's just different. Like I said earlier, if you got a two-wheel drive Astro van, if you could put a locking rear end on it and do a lift kit and aggressive tires, you could pretty much get almost anywhere you want to go anyhow. You're not going to compete with a Jeep, though. So that's what it boils down to. I hope I answered any of your questions. I hope you understand where I'm coming from. I apologize for saying Astrovan has a truck chassis. It just has truck parts under the chassis. I will try my best to be as concise, precise, accurate as possible in the future. But I promise you, I am going to continue to misspeak, not because I want to, just because I'm human. Those things happen. So be good to one another. Have a great day. Astrovan, the van that can. Astrovan tribe. Stay cool, people. My Astrovan community. Next time.